In the still, alpine village of Luc, high in the Swiss canton of Valais, on a summer's day, 13th of July 1914, a child was born into the fading twilight of old aristocracy and the looming storm of a new age. He was christened Franz von Werra, a baron by title, yet family fortunes had crumbled. His father, Leo Freiherr von Werra, once of noble lineage, was bankrupt. The baronial title remained, but the financial stability had vanished. The child's future was uncertain. So when Franz's cousin Rosalie von Werra persuaded her friend Louise Karl von Haber to take in young Franz and his sister Emma, the children entered a life of opportunity, though not one of full truth. They would grow with wealth, yet without knowledge of their true origins. So he was brought up as a von Haber. It was only after he was 18 that he discovered the truth of his adoption and retook the family name of von Werra. Little did the world know that this boy would one day soar into the skies, become a fighter ace of the Luftwaffe, crash land in enemy territory, become a prisoner of war, and then perform a daring, audacious escape that would become legend. This is his story. Franz von Werra grew up in the shadow of aristocracy and adversity, the seventh of 8 children in a family whose ancient title could not shield them from financial ruin. Adopted into the von Haber household in Germany, he was given the privileges of education and upbringing, yet his past remained a secret. Around the early 1930s, while Franz was in his teens, his adoptive parents, Karl and Louise, separated. Franz took this badly and ran away from home, deciding to go to America by stowing away aboard a cargo ship bound for New Orleans. He was discovered at Hamburg port and taken home. But with the rise of the Luftwaffe, he found his calling. The skies beckoned. In 1936, he joined the Luftwaffe, and by 1938 had earned a commission as a lieutenant. His early military service saw him assigned to Fighter Wing 3, and later as adjutant of 2 Group. He flew the new Messerschmitt Bf 109, and his flamboyant personality made him stand out. He kept a pet lion cub Simba at his aerodrome that became a mascot for the unit and a symbol of his daring, playboy image. Thus the stage was set, a young baron pilot, bold, restless, and hungry for glory. When war broke across Europe, he stepped into the inferno. In May 1940, during the campaign in France, von Werra claimed his first aerial victories, a Hawker Hurricane on the 20th of May, followed by 2 Breguet 690 bombers and a POTUS 630 near Cambrai just 2 days later. In the summer campaign, he flew relentlessly. Then came the Great Crucible, the Battle of Britain. On 25th of August 1940, he reported a sortie in which he claimed 1 Spitfire and 3 Hurricanes, as well as 5 aircraft destroyed on the ground, a total of 9. British records do not fully corroborate this, but the claim speaks to his audacity. On the 5th of September 1940, his fate turned. His Messerschmitt Bf 109 was shot down over Winchett Hill, Kent. He crash-landed in a field and was taken prisoner by a cook of a nearby British Army unit armed with a meat cleaver. Thus began a sequence of escapes, capture, recapture, a saga that would elevate him beyond a simple ace. Von Werra's first detention was at Maidstone Barracks, in the custody of the Queen's Own Royal West Kent Regiment. He was then interrogated at the elite camp at Trent Park, Hertfordshire, famed for being a listening post of British intelligence. On 7th October 1940, he attempted his first real escape while on a supervised outdoor walk at Griesdale Hall in the Furness Fells. He slipped over a dry stone wall, eluding guards, but was found days later, immersed in a muddy depression and sentenced to 21 days of solitary. On the 20th of December 1940, he joined a tunnel escape from Camp Number 13 at Swanwick. Under cover of anti-aircraft fire and the singing of the camp choir, he and 4 others slipped into the night. The others were soon recaptured, but von Werra carried on alone, taking flight gear, assuming the alias Captain Van Lot, a Dutch pilot. He persuaded a locomotive driver to drive him to an RAF airfield at Hucknall, Nottinghamshire, and tried to commandeer a plane. He was arrested at gunpoint in the cockpit, sent to Canada in January 1941 aboard the SS Duchess of York. He was bound for a prisoner camp on the shores of Lake Superior. On 21st January, he jumped from the prisoner train near Smiths Falls, Ontario, then crossed the frozen St. Lawrence River into the United States, a country still neutral at that time. He turned himself over to U.S. authorities in Ogdensburg, New York. While his extradition was being negotiated between Canada and the U.S., the German vice consul arranged his escape via Mexico, Brazil, Spain, and Italy. On the 18th of April, 1941, he finally returned to Germany, a feat unequaled among Axis POWs. His story was told around the world. The only Axis airman known to have escaped from North American custody and journeyed back to Europe alive. Werra reported to the German High Command on how he had been treated as a POW, and this caused an improvement in the treatment of Allied POWs in Germany. Back in Germany, von Werra was a hero of propaganda. He was awarded the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross on the 14th of December 1940 as Oberleutnant and Adjutant of Fighter Wing 3. He married his girlfriend Elfie Trout on the 22nd of August 1941 and was shortly thereafter promoted to Hauptmann, captain, taking command of Fighter Wing 53. He led his fighter group first on the Eastern Front during the opening of Operation Barbarossa, claiming additional victories over Soviet bombers such as the DB-3 and SB-3. In mid-September, Fighter Wing 53 re-equipped with the new Messerschmitt Bf 109 F4 in Germany and moved to the Netherlands to air bases at Katwijk and Hamstede. Then came a moment of cruel irony. On 25th of October 1941, during a practice flight in his Bf 109 near the Dutch coast, the engine failed. He reported on the radio, "Bloody cold for a swim, eh?" The last words picked up by his comrades. The aircraft sank into the North Sea off Vlissingen. His body was never found. He was just 27 years old. Franz von Werra's life was a whirlwind. Born into fallen nobility, reaching for the skies, captured by the enemy, twice escaping, journeying across continents, returning as a national hero, only to vanish into the freezing sea. He flew for conviction, for opportunity, for next-level daring. But his story also raises questions about war, identity, myth-making, and fate. The lion cub mascot, the brash blonde pilot baron, the daring escapee, they all coalesce into one figure, larger than life. In the end, within the sea's dark and cold depths, von Werra lies silent, yet his legend endures. A pilot who defied captivity, who refused to surrender, and who in his final moment made a joke before the plunge. If one story remains, perhaps it is this: courage is not measured in victories alone, but in the will to rise, even when all else falls. This was Franz Freiherr von Werra.